In this project, I'm going to create a Henry Rousseau-inspired jungle scene using the types of pencils and markers that you probably have at home. I'm going to demonstrate how to use water on regular colouring markers to create a watercolour look. Then I'll work back into the image using markers and pencils to create my jungle scene. You might have seen some of Rousseau's work. He was known for painting these very dense jungle scenes with lots of different types of leaves and foliage. His style is very graphic with hard edges, almost like a cartoon style illustration, which at the time he was painting, around the 1890s, was quite unusual. For this project, I'm going to try and echo some of the lines and shapes of his plants. To do this, I did some practice drawings looking at the way he formed his tree branches and leaves. There is actually a worksheet on how to do this in the video description. For this project, I'm going to try and echo some of the lines and shapes of his plants. I then experimented with the colours that I had. So, for example, I tried layering different pencils and markers. Here I've put down some blue highlighter, then coloured over it with yellow pencil to create green. It's a good idea to do these exercises as everyone's materials will be a little different and produce different results when they're mixed together. So the first thing I'm going to do is lay down a green background for my jungle, and I'm going to start at the bottom here, and I'll start with the darker greens. I've managed to pull together all these different greens, so I will use all of them for my background. So I'm just going to colour in some sections down here. You don't have to be super duper accurate because I'm going to cover it over with water. So I'm just doing some scribbles along the bottom here in this dark bluey green. I'm doing the strokes in different directions because I want it to look a bit grassy and natural. So then I'll go over with this other dark green. Go up the side here a little bit with the dark one. Now I'll go up into this middle section with the lighter green. You do need slightly thicker paper for this one, so if you've got some card or some heavyweight drawing paper, that would be good, because once you put the water on, the surface can start to come up a bit. So this is quite thick. And I've got another green, slightly lighter one. I'm going to go back through and fill in these gaps. Now I'm going to go in with the highlighter up the top here. And then I'll put the blue in for the sky. Now I'm going to add a resist in this bottom section here, and I'm going to do it with this. This is just an ordinary birthday candle. If you've got regular wax crayons, they'll probably work too, but a birthday candle will work just as well. So it's called a resist because it's going to resist the water that I put on it. So I'm going to go along the bottom here and add some blades of grass. You won't be able to see it. I can't even see it because it's not leaving any colour. So it's just leaving the wax on the page, but I only want it down in this bottom section. Next, I'm going to take some water and a brush, and I'm just going to gently wash over that marker pen. This is why you need paper that's a little bit heavier. And wherever I scratched that candle is resisting the water, so it's keeping those marker lines intact underneath. And wherever the water is hitting the markers, the ink is running. My paper is all dry now, and it's very important that it is very, very dry. I put mine out in the sun because the types of things I'm going to use on it, which is these, I'm going to keep using these textures and these pencils are not going to work on paper that is even slightly damp, so I made sure it's very, very dry. I also ironed the paper, so I just put a clean sheet of paper over the top and ironed it flat because it was a little bit buckled. So you can see down the bottom here where I drew that candle, and it has resisted the water there, so you can see where those texture lines are still in there. So that adds a little bit of contrast, a little bit of texture, and a little bit of variety to the working surface. And this is all blended in very nicely. So it's important to keep this middle section quite light because most of these materials are fairly transparent and they're not going to work on this dark kind of colours terribly well. So I want them to stand out. So I made sure this middle section is quite dark. Now I'm using the samples that I made earlier, my practice drawings, to put in some tree trunks. So now I'm going to put the leaves on the trees, and again I'm going to reference the chart that I made. So I'm going to put these leaves on this one. When you're building a composition like this, particularly one that is so complex and has so many different shapes kind of competing for the eye's attention, it's important to keep the principles of variety and unity in the front of your mind. So by variety, I mean you need to make some of these shapes varied so that there's some interest. If all of the shapes were, say, that leaf shape, then it would make the whole picture look the same and be quite boring to look at. So that's the reason I've put these big shapes in here, because I've got these little leaves over here, these little leaves over here, and so I made this big shape and this tall flower here because it's quite different to anything else in the image. But it does have a similar kind of leaf shape to these little leaves over here, so it's unified. That's what we mean by unity. There's some kind of connection in the composition. So when you're trying to fill a space, have a look at what else we've got over here. So in this tree here, I've got these hard corners and everything else is quite organic and bendy in the lines here. So I put this little flower coming up here and I echoed those hard corners here. So there's kind of a connection between that area and that area, and it does have the effect of drawing the eye from there to there and creating variety but also unity in that they are different types of shapes, but there is that connection there with those corners. Now I'm going to start adding my colour, and if you're ever unsure about what colours to put on your image, a good tip is to draw some samples on a spare piece of paper, and then you can hold it up against your image to see what you think is going to work. So I've combined some blues and browns here. So I think that those combinations are better for this particular image than just the straight out brown alone. Doing some tests is a good way of seeing what works and what doesn't before you commit to your final piece. Rousseau tended to fill his shapes with quite flat, uniform layers of colour, and he didn't have a lot of suggestion of form, so he didn't sort of suggest the roundness and the three-dimensionality of things so much. So I'm applying this pencil reasonably flat, reasonably uniform. So I'm going to think about where the light's coming from in this image. And let's say it's coming from this direction. So down here is going to be darker. Obviously, because it's a jungle scene, it's going to be darker. So I'll press a little harder down the bottom here. But then when I do minimal shading, I'll do it from this side so that I imagine the light is hitting everything this way. So I'd go on this side of the branch, and then I'll press hard here and then soften up as I move to the other side of the branch. And that suggests a little bit of form. And then I'll carry that through to all the other plants, so there's a sense of unity in terms of where the light is falling. Now I'm just blending in some blue into that brown, just so it ties in with the other colours going on in the image. The best idea is to think about building up layers of colour rather than trying to get it in one hit. So this is one layer of colour, and you can see that this layer is a lot more interesting than that layer there. It just adds a bit more depth to your pencils if you think about slowly, gradually building up transparent layers of colour. I'm just going over these leaves with this bluey green highlighter pen. And now I'm going to just gently shade some yellow over these tips to bring out the green. So the good thing about having materials that are sort of transparent, like pencils and textures, is when you layer them you can apply colour mixing to them. So the blue underneath with the yellow on top will give a greeny look to these leaves. And again, I'm thinking about where the light is hitting the leaves. So if the light is coming from here, then that's where I'm going to put the yellow highlight on top of the leaf. Now I'm going to use the same technique on these leaves down here so that there's that connection between these two leaves. So remember how I said I tried to connect the shape of these leaves together so the eye moves across the page. So now I will also do the same and add the same kind of colour to this one. I've gone over these big leaves with the blue highlighter, and then I drew the veins in with the blue fine liner. If you don't have fine liners, you could probably use a biro or a ballpoint or something like that. And now I'm taking this dark green and just trying to add a little bit of shape and form by blending some shading into the bottom of the leaves. Again, it's about where the light is hitting the leaves. So I'm assuming that the colour underneath, or the tone underneath, is going to be darker. So I'm starting at the bottom of each leaf and then pressing quite hard on the bottom of the leaf, and then reducing my pressure of that pencil as I move up the leaf. I've rubbed those pencil marks out a little bit. I can still see them, but I didn't want them to be quite so strong against this orange. So this orange will be like a little focal point and a highlight. But depending on how the rest of the image goes, I may have to put some pencil over that to knock it back a little bit.